Okay, so I wanted to show you guys the next steps of this project. I have selected my two photos that I want to create for my diptych. So here's one of them, and here is the other. So from here, what I want to do is think about how these two compositions can align. I can adjust them however I want. I can drag and drop, per se, from different pieces together. So I really like both of these for their sense of depth. I don't think I'm going to make a lot of changes, but I easily could. So I've drawn a really simple thumbnail here of the two sides. And what I am going to start thinking about now is color schemes and textures. So clearly here I have a lot of neutral colors, I have a lot of greens, but with the fauve color palette, I'm going to be shifting what those color schemes are. So these grasses are not going to be green. Maybe I'll try making them orange or blue or something. So what I'm going to do from here is start to practice different textures and different colors. One thing I really love about this piece is how these pink flowers contrast with the green. They're complementary colors from each other. So if I want to keep that, I could perhaps do yellow and purple or something like that. So I think that's what I'm going to try here actually, is creating these water lilies using purple. So here I have a really simple sketch, and I can also just draw off to the side. So I'm just going to select an area and just start trying to test out some textures. I'm starting out kind of light so that I can layer things together. Maybe I want to include a purple and a blue together. Maybe a darker blue towards the outside. And I can kind of bounce back and forth between the colors to try out different combinations. Got to get this sort of interior . And then I can think of, well, what contrasts nicely with this purple. Like I said, I think I'm going to try a yellow. Really bright. Maybe a yellow and orange combination. Has a nice pop to it. So these are just some tests. So I could also try, well, what happens if I make the water lilies green? And the lily pads red. Maybe red and orange. So obviously there's many combinations here that you could try, and many things to explore. But as you start to look at what individual pieces of your composition might look like together, you can start to think about what is the overall color scheme that I'm going for. So you don't want to have just a million colors all over the place and not have any plan about it. You want to be thinking about, well, how do these things all fit together in a satisfying way? So I really like this color scheme, but I also need to think about what's going to be present in my other half of my diptych. So from here, I think I really like this sort of yellow color, and here this water has some yellow in it. I could really ramp that up a little bit and make this more of like a yellow, orange, golden feel to this water. I could make these rocks purple as well, or I could make these grasses purple if I'm converting my greens into purples and blues. Then think about maybe these could be a red or something like that. So you can start to plan out from here like what your color combinations might be, like a color plan. So if I want to have red rocks with purple flowers and a golden stream with some orange accents. So you can see I'm starting to just color in almost like a coloring book to see a general sense of how do these colors all work together in this piece. And so far, I'm liking it. Yeah, so this purple is sort of my grassy color. And then you have to think about every part of your piece. Well, the sky is blue, but in my piece, the sky is not going to be blue. What could I make the sky? I could make it maybe a gray color. I could make it another shade of purple. You know, maybe purple with a little bit of gray. So lots of things to consider. So this is sort of how I'm converting these colors into these fauve colors, and then same thing with this. If I like this color palette that I'm going with here, these would all be sort of a bright yellow color. And the rest of this would be purples and blues. If you want to go for something a little more bold, you could also try and have two separate color schemes in the two halves of your diptych. I don't know if I would recommend that. You may end up making it a little not very unified if you do that, but you can always plan it out and see how that looks. So here this water is sort of a gray color, but if I want to stick with the watercolor from my other side, I could make it a yellow and orange kind of water. Looks pretty cool. And then again, this is a foliage color, so I'm going to go with a purple, maybe a darker purple for back here. And then these buildings, I don't know, I can kind of figure it out from there. So that's my general thought process of how to proceed further. Look at your piece, think about color schemes, practice textures, practice drawing, think about what the overall color scheme is going to look like. You can also practice some of the techniques from the previous oil pastel video. So like I can get something to scratch into this to get more texture. And if you don't like that texture, you can always go back over with more oil pastel. So lots of experimentation here. Don't get too tied down to one idea too quickly, and enjoy playing around with your color schemes.